Alright, Big Shaq, Big Man team. Alright, I'm just kidding. We've got RNG versus Fnatic. It is going to be absolutely massive. I think, coming into this matchup, I think RNG are heavy favorite. I think the 3-2 prediction is bold. I think RNG, stylistically, I think they drafted very, very well. I think like lane by lane, I think RNG are also better if in every role except top lane. I think Reckless is great. I think Uzi is greater. I think Caps has been doing well. I think Jahu has been doing better. RNG have had a very tough group. They faced freaking Samsung in G2 and they freaking destroyed that group. Like, they made people not believe in Samsung at all. And rightfully so, right? Samsung showed a lot of weakness in the group stage, but they solved a lot of that problem. But in the end, RNG, they still showed a lot of class. The main thing here with Fnatic is they have some players that can definitely show up big time in these important matches. I think Soaz performed out of his mind in that, reverse sweep kind of thing that went on for Fnatic when they were 0-4 and they went all the way to 4-4 with the 4-win streak. And then Reckless is also such a player that, he plays with emotion, but he can work both ways, right? That's the thing with anything that is powerful. It can work both ways, Nuclear energy can be used as a source of energy for an entire city, or it can also demolish a city, right? And that's the thing with emotions too. It can fuel you to play better, but it can also fuel you to play worse. But I think Reckless is the type of player that has kind of learned how to harness this emotion, because you don't get to have this resume that Reckless has without knowing that ability, And that's what's so curious about this AD carry matchup, because you have, two ADs that have shown a lot of emotion on stage, and you could call it passion, you can call it emotion, whatever it is. It's a part of their greatness, And I think, I've got this feeling, I don't know why, maybe I'm completely off, but it seems like Uzi has matured more. I think in the final against EDG, people saying, oh, Uzi was tilted. I think one game he performed poorly, but the rest of it, I think those losses against EDG was due to really shitty draft. All in all, looking at this matchup, I think MXG and Jahu are going to play through mid lane into bottom and cause a lot of problems. I think RNG are going to look to make sure that they are pushing bot lanes and then continue on that trend. I think the way in for Fnatic is when they play through the 2v2 mid lane. That is where Broxa is the most active. When Fnatic play to that idea, I think Caps is very good at pulling attention to himself, and I think that is the biggest way in for Fnatic. I like the Caitlyn blue side ban. I think it puts you in a position to kind of enable you to pick an AD early on and not be scared of any potential Caitlyn on red side third pick, right? Because you have to kind of pick AD before that, unless you have like a champion C. Janna is open here. Fnatic are gonna easily pick it up. Janna first pick. Fnatic are thinking like, why are they giving us Janna? What is happening here? What is happening? They have something planned. Oh no. Janna's picked. Jarvan. Strange as Jarvan is the ban. I guess RNG will go for the freaking Sejuani. Fnatic will be able to go for the Gragas. I am assuming Reckless will just go for Twitch, as is AD. I think Tarek is most likely going to be... Oh, Sivir. Okay. So Sivir is gonna be like a heavy pushing bot lane. Let's hope that Fnatic get a good 2v2 mid lane going on for them. RNG, Taric could be a choice. Trundle could also be a choice that works against Sivir. Whoa! Soraki. Soraka is good against Janna in lane, and then Soraka you can buy out on sensor, and she did get like this heavy nerf in the past, but you know, her win ratio is insane in solo queue. Not that that matters. I don't think it does at all. I think when it comes to Soraka and her good matchups, then definitely it's the other Ardent Sensor supports. So in terms of bot lane pressure, RNG is going to be able to play very far up, and Uzi here can commit to all types of trades because of this Soraka. Cassiopeia ban, we might see shift towards Rise because of it. Nar also out. We have seen some blind pick Nars in this tournament. Could be a potential blind pick Cho'Gath first for RNG. Nothing too fancy. Also potential Rise. I will be happy to see. The main thing here is that if they pick Cho'Gath, they leave the option to pick Lucian later, and I think that's an interesting prospect here. Alright, Cho'Gath it is. They have the option to definitely pick up a Lucian here, if they want to go for it. I'm a big fan of Talia. I talked about it a lot in my preview, and it enables you to do so much more in the early game, and I think in a lot of cases Talia scales well into the game. She buys the Liandry's Torment, and she can impact the game by just killing the tanks, and early game she can maintain push and do plays into the side lane together with her ultimate, and I think that matters so much. I feel like whenever Talia is in the game, it's very impactful, especially like the Korean teams and their Talia. Caps is a fantastic Talia. He was one of the players that kind of brought it back. You know, he was during the meta in Europe, at least brought it back in Europe. It was very active the entire time over in Korea, but in Europe he was like bold enough to pick it into Syndra and Orianna, which a lot of people thought was like suicide if you played Talia, but he showed that you can actually play this matchup, and he gave the confidence to a lot of other mid laners to pick it up. Alright, so draft wise, I think a lot comes down to what happens bot lane. Will RNG be able to pressure bot lane? Will Sivir just prevail because they push, have Warlord's Bloodlust, and they don't need to care about the trades too much? They can just push the wave. I think it's a real possibility. Trundle is going to eventually win against Cho'Gath. I think early on it's quite even, if not in favor of Cho'Gath. And then around the time where Trundle gets Ravenous Hydra, or like Tiamat and a Vampiric Scepter, the matchup should shift a bit. I don't think Cho'Gath is going to be pressured too hard, but Trundle is a great pick against Sejuani as well. They have tools for themselves to disengage. That is the main thing here. Fnatic want to split push, and they can disengage very easily against this roster of RNG. They want to keep Trundle in the side lane, keep Talia in the side lane. The main thing here is that if they send Rise to answer to this Trundle with his ultimate, I think it's a real possibility that Rise is going to just shit on him in the side lane. But Trundle players tend to get very tonky, especially in this case, like there's a lot of magic damage on the enemy team, so itemizing Imara is going to be good for him. I think Rise here as a pick is going to do well, because RNG, because they have Tristana, they should be stronger later on in terms of team fights, because it should be very difficult for Fnatic to kill a Tristana. I think that's something that I say every time Tristana's in the game. Like, how do they kill Tristana in the late game? Seems close to impossible. Maybe some Gragas ultimates, maybe some Gragas, blah blah blah. Which, you know, all in all, I feel like RNG do have the stronger comp later on in the game. I think Sivir can do a good job at killing tanks. You know, in a lot of cases, it turns into like this race of who kills tanks first. I think stylistically, these two teams are going to fight a lot. MLG is playing the Sejuani, so he's not going to be too aggressive in the early game, I think. But all in all, I think the mid-game fights is going to be like a massive deciding factor. And if you think about at lone, I think both team compositions are quite strong at that point in the game. So Fnatic, they had the leash, which means that RNG just have a better positioning here on the wave. Excuse me, I'm still having like the wake up yawns. I woke up in time to cast this game, or not cast, I mean analyze this game. I have to leave sadly at 1 o'clock, so I'm hoping this is a 3-0 either way, so I can analyze all the games before I piss off. Important note here that MLG is going for a full clear. So as it is in mid lane now, ready together with Broxa. Zahu. Oh, this might be okay. Alright. Crazy thing. No, I think it could have ended a lot worse if if Gragas was in Trundle's position, then I think it could have been a lot more dangerous. Lemmy is now so pushing with a Gragas behind him. This could be very dangerous. So as is under level though, and him getting traded on is going to decrease the chances. But I like what Fnatic are doing here. They're transitioning the pressure from top into mid and then the mid into top and just maintaining it. Lemmy has a big wave stacked up though, so doesn't seem like Brox is going to go for this. He's just going to back off. Sejuani didn't take the enemy golems, so that puts him in a weak position. Fnatic in bot lane seem to get perma pushed in. Uzi with the position advantage seems to be doing better. Just because Fnatic leashed here on the bottom. Thorn shield again as well for Uzi. It seems like really pointless to hit him when he has Soraka. Like the goal here is to hit Soraka and hope for the best, but the main thing is that Jessis doesn't have any sustenance. So the damage he takes is kind of permanent. He has those biscuits, of course, but I don't think this bottom matchup is going to be about sustain. It's just about being in a better position to push the wave and keep it. Zahu with quite a CS lead in mid and a very similar one in bottom. It's a big wave though for caps, so that's going to shrink a little bit as the wave is crashing. MLG did the greedier clear, like he did the full clear without doing enemy golems. And Broxa did the more invade style invade, where he went for the vision and went for the gank in mid lane. I think if I remember correctly, he went for a red buff. Raptor, I'm just gonna double check just to make sure here. He went for red buff, Raptor into blue, into top side, into base wolves. While MLXG did kind of a full clear without doing golems, and now all his camps are spawning, and Brox has now spotted in bottom lane. Heal's been used. Whoa. Alright. Good shit here. very good punish. You know, these are the type of things that makes and breaks these out uncensored lanes. And you know, Fnatic with Jana and Sivir, if they can maintain priority now for the entire duration, it's important that RNG find a way to break it. This is quite huge. They will be able to push in the wave. Reckless is going to have enough money for BF Sword on first base. And after that, Fnatic should be able to maintain priority if they're allowed to base here in a good way, like Uzia is contesting this. And the next wave is coming. Reckless is going to begin to hit it, but Fnatic's bot lane can push very, very fast here. And the main thing for me is Fnatic are gonna base first, and then they're gonna maintain the pressure. Uzia is also gonna reach BF Sword, so that's important to note. But a very good punish here. Broxa with the less greedy clear doesn't have a lot of jungle camps spawned already. He did do his Raptors, and he also did his first clear of Wolves, while MXG is clearing all the second rotations of his camps. So very good punish. We talked about how RNG's bot lane had priority in bot lane, but now you can see that Jana and Sivir are going to be first in bottom, and if they can maintain this push the entire time, it's going to be massive, going to be absolutely huge. So as you had to burn flash from before, because you know, for Sivir and Jana, if they can just hit the wave when the wave is coming, and they can bounce all the Sivir boomerangs on top of that and start hitting it when the wave is there and maintain that position, then it's going to be huge for sure. That's what it's all about here for Fnatic. The wave comes, then they hit the wave, and just keep this RNG bot lane under the turret, and maybe get some hits in on the tower, and slowly chip away. Soaz now has his ultimate, used it on a very tanky Sejuani to get those extra stats, but the red buff and the Cho'Gath Feast is enough to take him down. Intriguing. So strange how little information is on the map for both teams. Like here it's understandable from this angle and this gank that this happens, but right now with Gragas jungle item, I'm not sure at this point in time. It's not that easy for Talia to push mid lane against Ryze. Ryze can contest that push with Tear now and also outtrades Talia. Like Talia needs to land her stun, but it should be easy for Xiahou to just proc his Storm Raiders and run away if there's a trading situation going on. The main thing looking at this is Trundle doesn't have flash from before. It's just a really difficult situation here because Trundle can't really play the game. Trying to find a way where he figures out this at all. Like sure they can make that assumption that Sejuani is a red buff, but Trundle really, he just can't play the game. So the question is if instead of pathing to bottom side, if Broxa should just walk top side and walk towards enemy red buff and just check and ward, and then if he runs into Sejuani he just backs off. At least he has that information. And then if Sejuani isn't there, it means Sejuani is bottom side and he can potentially just invade enemy red buff. I think right now when he went straight to red buff he has too much downtime, and MLXG, like Broxa ganked bottom, right, so he based later, and MLXG is now just ahead on tempo. I really feel like Broxa could have solved the tempo issue by just walking straight into the enemy jungle. Talia could support it through river, and then they could just go to put the vision down around the Raptors and the red buff. And then in the case where MLXG is not on red buff, they could have just invaded it and forced Sejuani to show. And then if he's there, then he has that information and can later on go down to his own red buff. He's denying them the play of RNG, and he doesn't lose his red buff, and worst case scenario, he's gonna take the enemy red buff if MLG did go for the invade. So as here, very tough situation. He dies to this gank, and MLG gets value off of his ultimate instantly. Fnatic are trying to punish. No summoners on Soraka from before. No jump on Uzi. MLG is gonna get stuck here under the turret. Choga drops the TP. TP gets cancelled. Q will land on Broxa, but he doesn't have turret aggro, so it's not a big deal. Sejuani is countering by taking enemy blue off. MLG is now level 7 to Gragas level 6. Gragas got level 6 from killing Ming here. And of course, Soraka is definitely a champion that has a target on her back. She's not that mobile. Even though she's a unicorn, she's definitely a target without flash. It's like an Ardan Sensor meta. And not having flash on your support is a very big deal. And this was a very good outcome for Fnatic, considering that Choga did in fact use his TP. Soaz still has his. I think what we will have to expect here is that Talia together with Trundle is going to commit to some play. But the second issue is that sure, Trundle saves his TP, but he's not going to have priority against Choga for a long time. Like, Choga is pretty beefy. That assist money definitely helps out. Put Soaz behind and let me TPing bottom. Sure, it made it closer to even, but other than that, it wasn't much more than that. What I'm saying is that Trundle won't be able to use his TP advantage for anything here. I think Lemmy can just keep pushing in top and keep trading with Trundle. If anything, maybe Soaz can use it to trade and then back off and see back to lane and create a situation like that for himself. Caps has cleanse and flash. Storm Raiders gets procced and he moves away. Zhao doesn't get his Storm Raider. Here's a TP from Trundle though. I was talking about how the TP advantage is not going to matter. Flash from Jahu. That's a positive outcome, but at the cost of a lot of CS top. I wish we could study bottom lane more closely. Because now we're in a scenario where Civi was getting pushed in because Janna wasn't around. Soaz also went to base. His turret is taking a lot of damage. And this TP in mid lane is definitely not worth it. Definitely not. This is a massive deal, He also lost like 2 waves to the tower, and the flash of Jahu is not that interesting. Sure, Gragas has flash, so there's a potential that they can like one-shot the Rise if they find a place to put some pink wards around mid lane. Talia and Gragas playing through mid lane together. Choga is going to be the one with TP advantage. A lot of good D wards here from RNG on the bottom side of the map. Choga is going to be able to push this all the way in. I still think that he's stronger at this point in the matchup. He also got that first tower gold, so he could also just base and just buy Righteous Glory if he wanted to. I think he has enough money to do that. Looking at bottom, having the better position seems just so important. Soraka has flash up again, but Sivir and Janna are winning some position back here because Fnatic is roaming in the river. Fnatic has a lot of vision to work with here on the bottom side river. There's an advantage in the 2v2 in mid lane if it breaks down, that they have summoners on both Caps and Broxa, and hopefully Fnatic can capitalize on this. Jawa needs to play quite safe, and if they can just keep pushing this and going into bottom, then I think they definitely have a good outcome here. But it's strange how Fnatic base while Uzi and Ming are already in bottom. It looks like Ming and Uzi are gonna get the better base here. Not a big deal, like I thought it would be worse. But good cancel here onto Tristana, because Soraka wants to base and get her Ardent Sensor. I don't know if she has enough, because Janna had 2 assists. If she based at the right exact time where she had Ardent Sensor money, then it's going to be a bit later. Uziai and Ming want to base really badly, so Fnatic are doing this quite well, keeping the enemy at bay here. The cancel, the cancel of the base was so clutch. Like, it's crazy how important it is. Right here, Jessis cancels the base, and RNG not getting the base, the Ardent Sensor base right here, and the item base for Uziai is such a big deal. It's really, really massive. RNG are getting things on top side, but there's no tower for them. There's no real trade, and Fnatic are making the play into bottom. It looks like RNG are either rotating into bottom to try to defend this. They could have potentially also hit mid tower. I like that Soaz is playing in mid lane now instead of top, and needs to kind of follow the play and kind of rotate into bottom if it's necessary. Choga has TP and he is still in the top lane. Interesting. It all comes down to that base. Like, we can go further back. We can take a look at how Fnatic based in the first place. Because I thought Fnatic's base looked bad. It looked like they clean, just one-shot the wave, and then they base. It seems like no big, like they just W'd and auto 3 times and Q'd, and then the wave was dead. Because Soraka was running around a bit. To be honest, Fnatic do this very beautifully, where they step in the bot side river, and Janna and Sivir use this to just push and base. This was something that happened very frequently with old Fnatic, like in regular season Fnatic, how they transitioned pressure and always played together. This was like a massive strength of theirs, and very beautiful here how Caps and Broxa through mid lane, pressure into bottom, allow Sivir and Janna to push in the way very clean, one-shot it, and go back bottom without any heavy punishment. They're back in time, and Ardent Sense is finished, execution is calling. Fnatic is definitely in a good state down bottom, and then they got the wave, like the base cancellation on Uzi, which is also super important, and now he's stuck in bottom and laning with worse items and RNG. I don't know if they should have just given up and played for potential the second top tower, or if they should have just played for Rift Herald. It seems like there's no chance in hell that they defend this. Because I'm like Z here, and also Jahu wasted some time by going into bottom side. There's no top tower alive, and that might be the biggest issue for them, that there's no bigger trade. Damn, you let me that you took the tower already. Now, this is a problem. Ryze is also ulting in from the angle. Ryze. Alright. All summon is used. Fnatic side on bot lane. We'd have to see some kind of regank if this is going to matter. I think Soaz might have Ravenous Hydra already. There we go. We might see like some shift in the matchup. Let me is gonna itemize towards Ninja Tabi most likely. RNG have summoners. Uzi has flash. Holy moly. It is crazy how snap of a decision Fnatic take here, because they don't see Rise and Sejuani recalling here. They don't see them recalling, and you can make the assumption that they're recalling and they walked away, but let's be honest, right here, Caps is diving into this blind, like he's diving into this blind, and Sejuani and Rise could be waiting around the bushes, and then it might have ended a lot worse here. But Uzi jumps into a warded area, and this is where Fnatic wasn't blind. So the only space where, I'm just gonna open Epic Ban. Only space where Fnatic actually had vision. Let's just pay attention to this play and what they had to work with. So right here, this area is where they have vision. This is the space where they are blind. Like right here on the map, this is where they are blind. At the moment Uzi jumps over, Thalia is gonna be safe surfing through, unless Rise and Sejuani are standing straight up here. But if Rise and Sejuani is staying straight up here, they're gonna lose in the 3v3 fight. So no, there's not much risk to doing this. The moment Uzi jumps over the wall, like all possibilities for RNG are dead. Like all possibilities that they win a fight in the river if Rise and Sejuani camp, they're just gone. Uzi saves both summoners. Let's see how much it will matter that Fnatic's bot lane don't have summoners. Because in the end, like 2v2 is not going to matter. The main thing is if Rise can set himself up to pressure once again. Rise and Sejuani into the Sivir and Janna, and then it's going to be great. So once again, to kind of play out the idea of the compositions, Fnatic are going to want to put Trundle in the split push game for as long as possible. Lemmy with a massive level advantage, like a full level ahead, 11.5. The thing that I wanted to point out is Fnatic have a lot of ways of disengaging. It's very easy for them to avoid a fight. RNG is going to have a hard time engaging on this. Sivir is not going to get hit by a Sejuani ultimate. They have a lot of movement speed. They have Janna ultimate, Gragas ultimate. It's going to be very hard for RNG to just force on to Fnatic. So RNG are going to want to bait Nashor around 20-25 minutes while Soaz is playing his split push game. Because in a full-on 5v5, I think RNG has an advantage. What it comes down to is like who kills tanks first, and Sivir is going to do a great job at that too. But I think the moment Uzi steps forward, then Sivir with her massive range disparity is going to be forced to back off, and that is going to be like a problem for Sivir later on. Tristana can kind of zone Sivir, so to speak. But that is going to be a problem of the future for Fnatic. So before this happened, let's see what RNG's bot lane actually did. They're in top side right now, and then they pushed in and based. Then they walk straight top, and Fnatic are just bashing away at the tower with this one wave, and they're not in time. I think, yeah, Uziah is just walking straight to his own red buff. He does it, and he could be around top lane around now. And then this turret would have taken a lot less damage. Because this turret just straight up dies. I want to also take a step back and just check how Fnatic do Rift Heralds, because that's something I didn't talk about. So the Rift Herald just gets started off with the idea that what is the idea here? Does Sejuani get spotted on bottom? Alright, so RNG take Drake, and then RNG gets, like, Sejuani gets spotted on bottom side on this ward here. That prompts Gragas to start it, assuming RNG don't have vision on it, and then Sivir gets to push for free, and then you can make the assumption that Tristana and Sivir based. Tristana was doing golems, and then she picks up the wave up top. Okay. Then it makes sense. So Rift Herald was taken because of the ward on Sejuani. Then we had the base. I don't know if I like Uziah taking red buff here, because the turret just straight up falls while he's doing so. RNG could commit to this because there's no summoners, but Talia has priority and Trundle's in mid holding a rise off. So this would be like a 3-4 situation with Lemmy tipping in, Soaz wouldn't match, and it would potentially be a 4v5. So it's a dangerous game to play. We might see a big fight here if FNC is going to look for like a Sejuani ultimate. It lands onto Gragas, and Fnatic safely take the mid lane tower. No big deal for them. It was low enough already for Fnatic just to pick it up, no problem. RNG's mid lane tower took damage when Ryze was ganking bottom and you forced Fnatic summoners. But as we can see, it didn't matter at all. It just didn't matter, and I just can't help but feel if RNG decided to not do red buff and went straight to top to defend the tower, and Ryze being left alone against Talia, I think Ryze should be able to match the priority of Talia and play into top side, and then RNG potentially could have forced. But Fnatic were just picking up turrets while they didn't have summoners, and we're really happy with how the game was going. I think bottom now should definitely be in favor of Soaz, but you know, normally it should be. But Lemmy is 2 levels ahead. Like, Soaz has been doing a lot of running around and a lot of, rotating to defend different waves and losing a lot of CS. Meanwhile, and I don't know if that's gonna happen, where Toronto's gonna just have this massive advantage against Cho'Gath ever in this game because of it. Maybe when Trundle reaches Spirit Visage, then maybe Cho'Gath doesn't have enough damage to just kill him, and he can just lifesteal all the damage he does, even though there's a Bramble West on Lemmy. I think that's a real possibility. Khan the other day did something very neat against Shen and his Rambo West, where he kept punching him, and then when he wanted to ult, he just stopped punching him in the all-in and then ulted for the full heal and then continued to punch him. I thought that was quite neat. I think it was Jet who pointed it out. Not so interesting, Drake. What happened to Fnatic's gold lead? RNG, hit mid tower. There was this small gold lead here for Fnatic and then it just disappeared. It is about 1k. And then RNG just farm more, or what's happening? Like, why does the gold lead disappear? Okay, so the gold lead just disappears because RNG are pushing out the waves, and Fnatic are now going to catch. Now that makes sense. Oh, MLG was showing. I think MLG was just showing. Was he showing? Does Broxas see him right now? I'm not completely sure. Maybe he didn't. Let's see how big of an issue this split push Trundle is going to become. Because as long as Ledme is as beefy as he is and he's playing Cho'Gath, then this Trundle is not going to accomplish that much later on. And then it's going to be a question of who wins the range battle. And I think just because Tristana has such a range advantage, it becomes hard for Sivir. Like, sure, Sivir can one-shot the wave. They have Fnatic has a lot of wave clear. But they don't have a lot of tools to deal with Tristana, and Tristana can do a lot of zoning of her own in a fight situation. Soaz is happy because he bought a lot of MR. That's a flash from Ming straight up. You can see the entire Fnatic roster just running towards here. Knock away, and then Uzi is forced to jump away. Ledme is also in position now to TP. He could TP potentially here if the fight commences. Ming has no flash. MLG is forced to flash too. Ult comes in, no TP from Ledme. Okay. So who does the mistake here for RNG? Like, Ledme is already committed to the idea that he's pushing our bottom side. Like, the bottom wave is so pushing, so do we lose a lot of CS? But does it matter for Soaz? I mean, does it matter for Cho'Gath? Like, if he doesn't go push this wave, Trundle could potentially come back. Because Cho'Gath would lose about 3 waves if he doesn't push in this wave. Maybe even more. But during that time, he's going to be able to group and match, and think could argue that Cho'Gath does more than Trundle, but I think there's 2 schools of thought. But there's definitely a problem here that RNG are just committing to this, and Ming is just walking in and dying eventually. Because from this position, like when Cho'Gath is showing up bottom, then the priority in mid lane is kind of even. They can rotate into top side. They have a pink ward, cleanly put. But I think that the problem is that RNG here are doing the aggressive play instead of the defensive play, and Fnatic are just matching because they see Cho'Gath bottom. And I don't think there's more to it than that. They're just committing. MLG is moving forward, and I think Soraka and Tristana just had to take the long path into top lane to defend the turret. And I think they could have defended, and then Choga got to push out, and then Choga would move and contest the next midwave with them. But from this position, Ming went the aggressive path, Stana went the aggressive path, and then MXG is committing to the Sejuani, to the Trundle that has a lot of MR and his ultimate. I think it's a mistake here from RNG to make the aggressive play, because Fnatic was grouped as 5, and RNG wasn't. It's important that RNG as a team committed to this idea, right? They committed, and Choga is pushing top. My goodness, what just happened? This is ridiculous. This is like a trailer to a movie, It's like, oh, helicopter shot, transition, he's the target, Reckless gets one-shotted. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to make of this. This is ridiculous. We go into the game and then Sivir gets one-shotted. So yeah, Sivir getting one-shotted is bad. Let's just pause and let's look at the situation. So by the looks of it, Fnatic base kind of unevenly, and then I don't know, maybe we'll get a replay. Let's hope for replay. Pray for replay. Pray for pray. Nongzu's out. That's really sad. And Trundle is quite beefy here. He can ult and take a lot of this beating. Red buff now. Finally, the physical damage is popping in. Uzi with the AD damage finally does damage to Trundle. Only cloth armor on Trundle. This is a big deal now, RNG. Get a massive pick here on Sivir, and then Trundle goes to face check to just kind of waste RNG's time before they go to Nashor. And he thought he could survive. Didn't pan out for him, and Broxa, what can you do? What do you have hidden up your sleeve? That's a silence, and that's a... Ooh, alright. That's a Ming, completely one-shotted. Caps could chase it forever. Uzi! Ooh, eat the fruits, Uzi! Ooh! Oh my! Oh! That is crazy, man. That is absolutely crazy. And Zhao wins the 1v1 against Talia when he's half... Ooh, shit, man. Holy moly. We're talking about how those mid-game team fights are going to be explosive. I think Frostgurren also talked about it on the desk. Like, both of these teams are willing to force during the mid-game, and... Holy moly. Okay, here we go. The replay. Choga sneaks in the bottom bush. He sneaks in right here, and then he comes in from behind. The Righteous Glory slow lands onto Reckless. The Choga silence. Needed to flash earlier, can't flash through that silence. And then Ming right here gets Popperud in the head by Caps. LG is disengaging. And then look at Uzi. Look at the moves. Look at him go. Look at him freaking go, man. Gets the reset. And then he gets the Warlord's Bloodlust, eats the fruit, and then the flash from Sivir. And then look at Jahu here. Let's look at Jahu up top. Gets a massive trade onto Caps first. Boom pow. A lot of HP dropped here for Jahu. And then Talia comes in for round 2 and gets Popperud. And then, ooh, the Feast does a lot of damage. Let Me is so fed because he has a lot of stacks. And look at the smile. There we go. Uzi. Holy moly. That play from him was crazy. That was absolutely crazy, man. Let's take a look at what both sides could have done better, because I was basically just jizzing all over the place. Let's take a look. Alright, so Ming's position in the pit here is really strange. Like, he wants to silence, but he's getting massacred by the Baron, and then he gets one pop by Syndra. From Talia. So this is an issue. Like, sure, they want to silence Broxa, but he's getting slaughtered here. He's getting mangled. And Uzi, like, it's enough that one person is positioned here, and Uzi is positioning for the ultimate, and I think that could have been enough. And I don't think Soraka just needs to be in the back of the pit because she's just getting spiked to death and she's half HP, and Talia just pretty much just needs to Q here to get a kill. Q and then the initial damage from the rocks. It's crazy though how if Uzi doesn't crit there, then his play is then his play is a BG, you know, because he needs a crit to kill Janna. But to be fair, he didn't crit any of his autos, so. Well, Uzi played that beautifully. Holy moly. Crazy stuff. Let's take a look at what Soaz did to check if it was alright. Here we had this play, okay, and then we moved forward into Choga. Let's see what Soaz does. He trades a bit, he spots RNG at the Baron ward, and then he just gets caught and slowed down. Righteous Glory slows him down, and he could have potentially flashed. Like if he flashed the Sejuani ultimate, he could have potentially lived. I think that's definitely true. Like he could have lived, and maybe the situation could have ended better. Like his bait, if he lives, then it's good, because then RNG can't do Nash. But like this, you know, if Soaz just flashed that Sejuani ultimate, he's gonna live, and maybe he's gonna be able to lifesteal on something. And then it's just a better situation. And then Ming here goes for the interplay, where he silences the Gragas that Uzi just shot away, you know. So I think Ming definitely entered there. Huge team fight here. I wonder if it's good what Jessus is doing. He's like, where's Brox's W? Where is Brox's W? Where is Gragas W? Oh, so he drinks up right here before the Baron. I don't know if he drank up right there, then Tristana also would have died. If Gragas could W hit the Tristana, then it also would have ended better. Right here, like if Broxa had W, then Uzi would be dead. So there's a lot of things that went right here for Uzi to make this play. But like Broxa's Wing because he wants to have more burst on Asher, right? When he gets over the wall. But it ends up costing him here. Uzi gets away. Crazy to think how many things went in favor of Uzi for that play to work out. And now with the Baron and the long range Tristana, it's going to be difficult for Fnatic to break. Cho'Gath is also so fed, like he's super fed, and he's been fed throughout the entire game, and this Trundle pick is not really working out for Soaz. I think Soaz, with the way he plays, I think it makes a lot more sense for him to just play a tank. And, you know, sure, like he tries to play like the style similar to Impact. I think Impact also plays it very well, where he plays like this tanky top laner, and he tries to maneuver himself around the map and put himself in situations with higher numbers of people. And I think we saw some of that with Soaz in this game, but it just didn't matter too much because he's Trundle in the end. And to be honest, like I think I'm a bigger fan of them just picking Maokai here and playing that type of game. But Trundle, sure, in group situations is not that terrible against Sejuani and Cho'Gath, but it's just that we've not seen the impact of Trundle at all this game. And I think it just stylistically doesn't fit for our friends in orange. Four items on Tristana. Big stuff. Okay. Jahu with the overextension. Because right now he sees Sivir on the lane, but he's just woken up. And then Talia comes in with the ultimate. There is like this dead zone. He has this blind spot in mid lane, and like if we take a look at the vision of RNG, he doesn't have the angle that Talia is coming in. Very important here how he is just coming in here, and there's no vision here at all for RNG, and Talia is missing and not showing. I don't think Ryze needs to show up here top at all. Like it's just such an unnecessary risk. Like two people are showing, he's not gonna get wave priority against two. Ryze is there, and then RNG here are gonna push in, and then they have the option of rotating into bottom or just playing around Nash or even rotating towards top to deal with the wave. But right now, you know, like Jahu doesn't need to take any risks at all. It's just completely unnecessary. I think this is the way Fnatic need to play to come back. They need to just win on the sides. Like looking at their picks, that's where they have to go. Fnatic are good at taking picks. They are very mobile with the Sivir ultimate, and they have the Talia ultimate as well. And then Trundle with his ultimate can make sure that they actually have the damage to take down a target like Cho'Gath, regardless of how fed he is. Alright, Caps has a summon as backup. He lost cleanse in that battle before. Flash is used, no cleanse used isn't necessary. Whoa. Let me get Trundle ultimate. I don't like the situation here that RNG are forced to rotate before anyone shows up in mid lane, because Fnatic are doing like the exact same rotation without any loss. Like if RNG just don't commit to this bottom side, then like sure they force a flash, and then they try to walk away from this position, but they can't. I'm just thinking in a scenario here where Tristana and Soraka just walk up all the way mid lane, force someone to show up, and then they back off and go into bottom. But like they force Caps' flash, but at the cost of Cho'Gath flash and Sejuani flash, which they would have to use regardless. Fnatic lose the mid lane wave though, so that is at least like a small price. But usually what RNG want to do here is they want to push up mid the entire way and then force the enemy to show and then rotate it to bottom. But like this doesn't happen because RNG just go for the straight rotation bottom. Fnatic did the same. They thought the fight was breaking out, but the optimal play for RNG is to push mid lane, force someone to show, and then go into bottom and make a play. But the wave bottom was already dead because Talia just killed it, right? So all is relative. Sure, this is a rule of thumb that you push and then you wait for someone to show on the wave and then you walk away. That is like a rule of thumb, but in some cases it's not always true. So it's taking a lot of fucking damage. Ooh, this Q is big. This Q is so big. The slowest landing Caps is in Africa with no flash. Baron's also up. RNG are just finding the angles. So let's check here with Cho'Gath TPs. Like sure, Fnatic have a lot of disengaged tools, but if Cho'Gath is coming from such a good angle, then it's not gonna matter. It's just not gonna matter. It's really, really massive, and of course, RNG are also working with a goal lead. They're working with a stronger composition at this point in the game, and I feel like that Nasher was just a nail in the coffin, while Sivir was caught off, and then Trundle died as well, and then RNG pretty much aced the enemy team unofficially, and also secured the Baron. From that point onwards, it's hard to see windows besides making the play that Fnatic did, where they just gank in the silent with Talia. There's no way for them to kill Tristana. Tristana should not be dead at all anymore. She's level 17 to her level 15 counterpart, and 18 to 16. This is just a huge disparity in XP here, and that's also like a massive lead. This is giving them stats and numbers that are crazy high. Let me go Trundle ulted, so he takes a lot of damage here. I think Lemmy doesn't need to walk up that far. Zhao doesn't have ultimate, he used it from before. Not sure where Zhao is going. Oh, he's just ulting the creeps. He's ulting the creeps to the turret. That's what Zhao did. He ulted the creeps to the tower just to win time. But Lemmy doesn't have flash here, so him getting Trundle pillared is a big deal. I don't think he needs to walk up so far. I would much rather see the play where Cho'Gath just goes into top lane and then Ryze continues to be in mid lane and is able to support the bot lane, I mean the top side, if that is the case in terms of... Whoa, what's happening here, Uziai? Uziai, you're so bold, man. My goodness. Jumps face first into the Trundle. And it works, you know, it works. I would have been scared to do that. So I was talking about how RNG should have played. I think Cho'Gath should have just grouped with Soraka and Tristana, because Tristana has to protect Cho'Gath. Strangely enough, yes, Tristana needs to protect Cho'Gath, and then Ryze with his TP left, he can just stay in mid lane and ult into top side. Maybe what Zhao could have done is like bring the creeps from mid lane into top lane and then secure it even faster top side. Ryze ulti onto Eldar, and RNG is just gonna get it. I think this game is set in stone. Fnatic need to get some great pickoffs for this to work. But it's fucking Jurassic Park down bottom. So Elder Dragon, there's Baron. Baron is off now though, so that's gonna help Fnatic a shit ton. They have a lot of wave clear too, so they can stall this out. Inhib is open up top. Inhib is down mid. What happened here to Caps? He just gets autoed. Feasted. Caps had flash. But I think I got hit by the Cho'Gath silence and no flash for you. Okay. RNG showing once again that Tristana is OP. Tristana winning every game. Tristana is the biggest free win ever. I think the win ratio of Tristana is something like 8 out of 9 now. Yeah, I think 8 out of 9. Tristana has won. There was that one game Longzhu had Tristana and they lost. What a disappointment. Actually, no. Samsung played 3 games with Tristana. It was yesterday. Misfits lost with Tristana. Yeah, that was the case. Okay. Okay. All in all, interesting early game. I'm happy to see that Fnatic is proactive. They are doing things actively, and they were in control of the early game. They ended up being ahead, but a big issue here for Fnatic is that I think Trundle is too weak, and I think Tristana is so much stronger in the later parts of the game. I think the split push game never really happened for Fnatic, and I think that was a win condition for them, where they kind of win the split push. I think Ryze also solves that issue a little bit, where Trundle can't really deal with Ryze. I'm talking, but maybe we will see something crazy here. Uzi is not getting his auto attacks in, but inhib is... The third inhib is gone too, and Uzi is... they can just take this away, no problem. Okay. So let's talk about the strengths of Fnatic. Like if Trundle becomes a split push menace and he actually does something interesting bottom, and Fnatic just get to wave clear and disengage for as long as possible, then I think their composition works in the later parts of the game, in contrast to RNG's comp. But Ledme was just stronger in the split the entire game. Like it started with that kill on Trundle, and then it was like the roams that Trundle did into mid lane. There was that TP that Trundle did into mid lane, and then Trundle had to base, and then Cho'Gath got first tower. There was a lot of things that went in favor of Cho'Gath that Trundle had to do and decided to do. And if it was a different case where Trundle was, for example, Maokai, I think it would have been more fine. And I think this type of playstyle is something that Soaz is exposed to a lot, where he gets ganks early and where he likes to rotate the pressure around the map. I think they just need to put him on like Maokai duty in a game like this. And then, I have mixed opinions about Sivir. It's good and all that you can push and contest the push. I think Soraka worked fine, didn't do too much this game besides applying Ardent Sensor and just laning with Tristana and being a target for the enemy team in terms of ganking. But generally speaking, coming into the next game, we have to just pay attention to what happens to Tristana, because Tristana seems to be super clutch in all of these games, and the later the game goes on, it just seems hard and hard to deal with her. And her lane phase doesn't seem bad at all, and she actually likes going Bloodlust, and I just think she's really, really strong right now. And then we had that situation where Sivir got caught in mid lane, and I think when that happened, I don't think Fnatic could have continued their momentum while they pressured. Let's move on to the next game. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheerio.